everyone, and we're live with another with an episode of I've got questions. An episode of I've got questions. What opens with sort of an African celebration party, and what closes with some African retribution, some fighting, some celebration of winning. If you guessed the quad, season 2, episode 1, In Love and Trouble, you're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I am Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Hey, I just got started with the quad. This last night's episode has me so lit. I want to hurry up and get to it. Hey, Rowdy Chica, but this is episode 1. So I don't know if you watched the quad or not. I love the quad. I've been watching it since last season. I wanted to get more scripted, less reality. I wanted to change up the proportion of my reviews a little bit. So I'm looping back and picking up the quad on BET. Okay, so let us proceed. So we got they rapping about New Africa rap, and we got Yes New African. Imagine this is a concert on the yard. We got dancing, and we got stepping, and we got black business commerce is in the mix. It's called the Spring Step Up, and our guy, the rapper guy, is emceeing it. I know his Cedric, is that his name? The one who is from like Chicago or something. His mother sent him away to school because she was concerned that he was gonna get killed. And then last season, his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever, came up there and she ended up getting killed, and then he ended up getting arrested because they thought that he had killed her. And President Fletcher, Eva, was like on his side, and he's still a student now. Okay, so we see a funeral dirge type thing. We hear the music. It gives you the vibration of NOLA. I guess they call it a jazz funeral, but it's like New Orleans type style. It's a protest. They're protesting GAMU's. It's like GAMU's funeral. And they're like have signs up that say Black Schools Matter, and they're carrying the box with GAMU in it. And this is being juxtaposed with our band leader, Director Diamond, who's having a medical procedure, like an MRI, like he's, you know, that thing where you have to lay really still and you lay down and then you kind of get zoomed in and they take pictures or whatever. So it's kind of like he's going into a casket. They're having a funeral type, you know, juxtaposition going on. The kids are like, why is the administration meeting with Georgia U about us, GAMU, being absorbed into the state university system? No, we protest. Da, 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 da. Then meanwhile, we're in a meeting inside. The coach is apologizing. President Anika, I called her President Anika. It's Eva. She's Eva, but I didn't know at that time. So President Fletcher, Eva Fletcher, gets up. She goes to look out of the window, checking on the protest, but also she's kind of annoyed at this meeting. This is a meeting with the parents of the young man who raped her daughter and supposedly other daughter, who was a football player, who then committed suicide. So, you know, she closes the blinds and then she comes back and she's like, okay, so is there anything else that we need from you? Because we got, and there's a GAMU woman there, like a representative, probably their lawyer. She puts her hand on President Fletcher's hand, and she's like, Mr. and Mrs. Berry, thank you so much for meeting with us. I know you really must be tired, and let us treat you to lunch. Like, you know, she's kind of doing the thing that President Fletcher is not doing. And then we see the Mama Berry whispers to her representative, probably her lawyer, and the GAMU woman is like, is there something else, Mrs. Berry? And then the representative is like, well, she has one more request before we finalize this agreement. And we see President Eva looking like, now what now? You know, like, what? No, we're not here for this. So then we right room. Oh, we're in the weight room. We in the weight room. And it's the football team. They working out and, push it, get it. We got to get it. And then the championship trophy comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, here's the championship trophy. Here's my name. I can't believe they engraved all our names on it. And then somebody's like, James's name should be on here. I don't know if they said James or Terrence Berry, the one who killed himself, but I thought they were talking about the child who killed himself. As far as I'm concerned, it's his too. And then, somebody else is like, that's why we got to keep pushing. We got to let them know we are not ever giving this thing up. Not ever, not ever, not ever. Ah! And then speaking of not ever, we see President Eva bursting out of the conference room. And she wants me to apologize to her. And then the GAMU woman, probably the lawyer, is like, Mrs. Berry said it was all over your face that you really didn't want to be there in the meeting. And then somebody else is like, yeah, I saw it. And President Eva is like, so now I should apologize for my face? And somebody else is like, yeah, I saw it too. It was all over your face. And then the coach is like, well, it was all over her face because he was a rapist. And then the president says into the intercom, Crystal, and then to the group that's still there, she's like, is that so, just so that we are all on the exact same page? And then Crystal comes in. She's like, what in the world was going on out there? And Crystal was like, why don't I give you the details later? And President Eva is like, why don't you give me the details now? And then Crystal is like, well, from what I can gather, they're angry about a meeting that was had with the Georgia University system. And the President Eva is like, this is ridiculous. And then she's like, it will be a cold day in hell before I apologize to the family of the man who raped Sydney and at least 2 other young women on this campus. Then we see Sydney's white roommate. She's in the bed, reading, looking on her phone or whatever. The door is knocked. A white guy comes in. She's like, oh my God, baby, I can't believe you surprised me like this. You're staying here. You're staying here. You're here. You're staying here. And then Sydney comes in. She's like, oh, so you're not a figment of Maddie's imagination. And then Maddie is like, you didn't think that. And then Sydney is like, that, or you were an asshole who didn't care enough to come visit. And then the boyfriend is like, she describes you perfectly, Sydney. And then Sydney is like, I gotta go, so see y'all later. And then the roomie and the boyfriend are getting all hot and heavy and bothered and, doing the daggone thing. Then we're at the president's residence, and Sydney and the president and a white woman are there. President Fletcher is on the phone, like looking at her phone or whatever, as everybody kind of looks on awkwardly. Then Sydney picks up her phone and she like looking at some footage of her fighting. That's what it looks like. Then the president, the white woman, who I think is a therapist, clears her throat. And the president is like, oh, I'm sorry, it just never ends. And then the white woman is like, until you decide, it doesn't begin. And Sydney is like, okay, so let's get this started. I stopped grinding my teeth and, so I just think, I'm journaling. I just think I don't need to have therapy anymore. I've been seeing a therapist every day for the last 3 months. So I feel like, it's allowing Terrence to control me from the grave. And I want to stop therapy. I'll keep journaling. And then she reads from her journal to prove that her journaling is working. She reads about her counterfeit confidence of mama presidents, and she's like, see, I never would have had a word to describe how your performance smile is that you always wear. And then the president says, so you want to quit self-defense class too? And Sydney's like, no. And then the therapist is like, well, you can continue with therapy. And the president is like, I sure won't. And then with her performance smile and with her counterfeit confidence, I sure won't. And then we see Brownwyn, and she's like, coming into the room with Noni. She's like, hi, I'm your new roommate. Noni, the sneaky band girl. And Noni is like, I don't have a roommate. I had one. Brownwyn is like, well, I was on the waiting list for this dorm, and I just got this email. And then in comes the rapping guy, Cedric, from the city. We know Cedric, whose girlfriend got killed and he was locked up. And he's like, hey, what's up, Noni? And Noni is like, so you know each other? I heard something, but I don't know what it was. You know each other? I'm glad you're better. And I can't really remember what their connection was from last season. But anyway, the president is arriving at a restaurant, and a white looking guy is there, and he's like, oh, there she is, good to see you. And they're sitting in the booth, and the president is like, we agreed to keep our meetings confidential. And then the black-headed white guy is like, we'll never make it to appetizers if you accuse me of sabotage. You know how hard it is to keep a secret. And President Eva is like, we are not merging into your system, Quentin. And then Q is like, we just want to help. You are in such dire financial straits. University systems would give your students an opportunity and access that they don't have, and we'll let you operate your school. And President Fletcher is like, let us be responsible for ourselves. How admirable. And then Quentin Q is like, you can twist my words if you want. You won't make me change my mind. And then President Fletcher is like, to thrive, we must be surrounded by folks who see us, and then they both say together, as 100% human. And then Q is like, I read the same history that you did. You have a great engineering program, and we'll make it better. And then the president is like, your students are clamoring to get into our program, so we must be doing something right. And then Q is like, Terrence Berry lawsuit alone is going to bankrupt you. Be smart, not emotional. And then President Eva is like, you're right. We are not going to make it to appetizers. And then Q is like, we're not the bad guys, Eva. And then President Eva is like, you know, after she's gotten up, but before she walks away, she's like, you're not the cavalry either. And then, you know, she walks away. And then in the same restaurant, we see in the foreground, we see Director Diamond eating with his little sister as President Eva is walking out. And the band director is like, you know, there's nothing to celebrate or whatever. And his sister is like, every day you're breathing is something to celebrate, blah, 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 blah. And then in comes the band director, like his former protege, and now the competition, who stole his music, the music stealer. And the music stealer comes over to his table, and he's like, well, I'll be darned. You know, Gam you. And then the band director, he jumps up, Director Diamond, across the table, and he hems him up, and he's choking him and trying to bang his head on the wall. Thank you for the likes. Thanks for coming in. He's banging his head on the floor. And then he's like, you stole my music. You stole my music. And then they're separated. And then the GAMU band director, Diamond, is like, you made me look like a fool. I promise you will not get the last laugh. You and that daggone drum major, you do anything, you'll do anything to be me. And then the band leader is like, I guess that alto sax ain't the only thing she played. And then we see Sydney, she's coming into, so he done told Diamond who really dimed the music, not your drum major, but the alto sax, the sneaky girl. And then Sydney comes into the room to her roommate, crying on the phone. So, hey, you tell me if it was someone else or not. Just tell me, huh? What did I do? I hate you. And Sydney is like, what happened? What happened? And the roomie is like, he broke up with me. He came in for one last dip. And Sydney is like, it doesn't matter. And then we see the big bald-headed player, Junior. He's in the coach's office, and he's like, you know, the coach is like, well, they posted the grades over the break. And the player is like, this ain't right, coach. I mean, I don't check those grades. And then we see Bojan and another player outside the door listening, a white and a black player. And then the director, the coach is like, boy, you need a 2.0 to stay in the field, and you don't check your grades. And then the player is like, I always pass, coach. And then the coach is like, look, you're not eligible to play, so get yourself together and you can be ready for fall. And the player is like, there's no reason for me to be here if I can't play, coach, if I can't play ball. And then the coach is like, getting an education. And then, you know, get you a tutor. Bojan and Tobias, that's probably who's outside the door, Tobias, are good students. Get your boys to help you out. And then coach opens the door, and ta-da, there's Tobias and Bojan. You guys are down to help them out, right? And then Bojan and Tobias are like, yeah. And then we see the player saying, Oh no, not the player, but the Junior saying, "This team is my family. I can't believe you're letting Dean Petaway take that away from me." And then the boys leave, and then we see Coach go to the phone, and he's like, "Call a team meeting." So then we see Sydney and her roomie Madison in a parking lot. It's a big parking lot, and Sydney has a bag on her shoulder, and Maddie is like, "Sid, I changed my mind. I don't think we should do this." And Sydney is like, "Don't think, search." We need I remind you that he put his dick in you and then left. And then Maddie is like, "There it is. Oh, now what?" And then the music, "I broke the windows out your car," as they are vandalizing his car. And then they walk away all like, yeah. We see the band leader and the director Diamond at his desk, and in comes Sneaky Noni. And she's like, "You want to see me, Director Diamond?" And Diamond is like, "Yeah, oh, don't sit. We won't be here that long. Ever had something gnawing at you in your stomach? You can't get rid of it, like a scab that you won't be satisfied until you pull the crusty, sticky stuff back and let the air in so it can heal." And Noni is like, "Well, technically, it was healing. That's what the scab was. That pulling the crusty, sticky part back interrupts the healing. And then you'll have to start all over again." And Diamond is like, "My stolen music." And she's like, Noni is like, "The drum major did it. Let the healing begin." And then Diamond is like, "Oh, well, I can't until I know why he did it. I mean, I've been watching Danny since he was in middle school. I watched him in high school, and I watched him 4 years right here. Why would he betray me like that?" And then Noni is like, "Because he just wasn't who you thought he was. He's the only one who had access to the music. I don't want to be late to rehearsal." And then we see Cedric in the room with his roommate, and Brownwind is outside, and the rapper, she's knocking on the door. The rapper peeks through the peephole, and he sees her, and his roommate is like, "Why won't you just answer the door?" And the rapper's like, "Shh, shh, shh." Cedric is like, "Shh," and then he's hiding near the closet. "Tell her I'm not here." And then Bryce, the roomie, is like, "Isn't that your girl?" And then Brownwind is like, when he opens the door, "Hi, is Cedric here?" "No." "Okay, I'll text him. Nice to finally meet you, Bryce." And then Bryce is like, after, she's just staring at him like, "You're not going to let me in?" And he like, "I'm not going to let you in." And then, she goes away. And then he closes the door, and he's like, "I don't know why you avoiding her. She's fine. She hella fine." And then, we see that Brownwind was watching outside, like listening. She heard it. And then we hear some banging on the door. Bang, 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 bang. And then Bryce is like, "See, now I'm all in your mess, but I'm done. I'm out of it." And then Cedric goes and he opens the door. And it's like a group of guys in hoodies. And he like, "What are y'all supposed to be?" And then Bryce peeks around, and he's like, he sees him. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go." And then we see President Eva, and she's bringing coffee to her stalker grad student guy, and the student who got her fired from her post. And she's like, "Cappuccino," at her old post that got her, to where she is now. And she's like, "Oh, cappuccino extra, for off the foam or whatever." And he's like, "I actually quit. I felt that I was getting addicted." He real dry. And then the president is like, "Well, can I come in? Something's different." And he's like, "Yep." And then she's like, "I saw you at the protest outside my office the other day. Were you hoping to see me?" And then the stalker is like, "Nope." And President Eva's like, I'm sorry I hurt you. I was just surprised. I wasn't expecting you to propose." And then the stalker is like, "It's all good. You moving on, I'm moving on. I'm going back to Connecticut at the end of the semester. I'm getting into another PhD program thanks to my old advisor, my old chair." And Eva is like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." And the stalker is like, "Well, we're done." And Eva's like, "We never got to talk last semester after." And the stalker is like, It's good. Bye-bye." And he puts her out in the hallway. We see the journalist girl waking up Bojan and Junior, and they're like, "How'd you get a key?" And she's like, "I'm an investigative journalist." And one student is like, "You are a journalism student who wants to be a sports reporter." And then she's like, "Let's talk about what's really important. You flunking out of school. And then we got to figure out which professor will take pity on your butt. Now get up, take a shower, and I'll be back in an hour." And then we see the journalist girl and Sydney. They meet in the hallway, and Sydney gives the journalist girl one invitation from a stack of envelopes. "Madison asked me to invite you, and then but apparently you all have a lot in common." And then the journalist is like, "A written invite? girl, is your cell phone broken? And Sydney is like, no. And then the journalist opens the invite and she's like, I'll be there. I couldn't really see what it said, but like, forget Ryan, F Ryan. You know. And then we see Director Diamond in his office, and the assistant is like, your favorite person is here. And Diamond is like, tell her I'm in a meeting. And President Eva is like, I already checked your calendar. I can't think of a good reason why you wouldn't want to see me. And Director Diamond is like, because I don't like your company. And President Eva is like, but you do like making an ass of yourself. I was at the restaurant. And then Director Diamond is like, oh, yeah, I saw you in the booth in the back in the corner all the way over there, skinning and grinning with the trustee from the Georgia University system. And then Eva is like, why are you acting like a 10-year-old schoolboy? And Director Diamond is like, well, he stole my music, and I don't need you to save me. And President Eva is like, I know you're going through a lot. You know, I was at the hospital with my daughter. Thank you for the light. And, you know, Director Diamond is like, I don't give a damn what you think you saw. And President Eva is like, I guess neither one of us saw what we thought we saw. And Director Diamond is like, have a productive day, Madam President. You're dismissed. And then President Eva is like, will do, Cecil. And then he's like holding his instrument like he's mad, like, you know, because somebody knows that he's not all hard. And then we see Sydney, and she's getting cappuccino from a cart on campus. And stalker Jason is his name. That's the one who dealt with her mama. Is like, Sydney Fletcher, Jason King. You don't remember me? And Sydney's like, of course, we met at that event. And Jason is like, how's it going? Sydney's like, oh, good. And Jason's like, well, I got to TA a lecture, but I still have your number. Can I hit you up sometime? And Sydney's like, sure. Then we're at the team meeting, and the coach is reading a letter from Terrence Berry, his suicide letter, I guess. And he's like, the team was my family. Since you all turned against me, maybe I am the monster I say I am. Without football, I've got nothing. And then, you know, he stops reading. He's like, so team, did any of you know that he was assaulting women? And people are like, nobody told me. No, you know. And then coach is like, you know, we were all his family, and none of us saw the signs that he would take his life. You know, how many of you knew that Junior was academically ineligible? You all should. We are men. Oh, men don't talk? Well, we have to do better. We are men. We have to talk. We have to. Yay, that was a good talk. I like that. Or I like the idea, and I want to see him take it further. And I really want him to have a real talk about sexual assault and what the men talk about with each other, and how you check somebody or deal with somebody when you know that they're doing something that's not cool. Like, I've been around relatives who I feel like the way they treat their children, I'm not really a fan of. But I don't really know what to say, because I'm like, well, that's their children. But if something happened to the child, I'd be like, dang, I never said anything to the child. And then maybe something is happening to the child, like they treating the children bad. And so, you know, from what I can see, so, you know, I don't know. We got to talk about that. We got to do better. We see Cedric walking on campus, and he's getting Brownwin's voicemail, and he's like, hey, this is Ced. Where you be? Where you at? I've been calling you all day. Hit me up. And then we see the party, the invitation, the party in Sydney and Maddie's room. And it's all women, and they dancing. It's all jam. They got a dartboard with Maddie's exes on it, and they throwing stuff. And then Sneaky Noni is there, and Brownwin is there, and the room is full, and Ryan Sucks is on the wall. And they're toasting freedom from assholes. And then in comes Cedric. Speaking of buttholes, in comes Cedric. And he's like trying to talk to Brownwin for a second. And he like, chill. And then they go out into the hall, because people, you know, it's kind of like, they like, what you doing in here? And he like, chill. So they go out into the hallway. And then he's like, oh, you smoking and drinking now? She like, no, I'm just smoking and drinking for the night. And she's like, what do you want? And he's like, you really gonna let those bitter Betties get into your head? And Brownwin is like, I know you were in your room when I stopped by earlier. And Cedric is like, no, I wasn't. And Brownwin is like, why are you lying to me? And then that's it. Then we see Maddie walking up, and I think she's texting Ryan, waking up, and I think she's texting the butthole who dumped her. I'm not really sure. And then we see President Eva and her daughter Sydney, and they're drinking coffee outside, you know, like in the on the yard, you know. And mama is like, I still wish you go to counseling. You know, my biggest regret is that I wasn't there for you. Now your rapist family wants me to apologize. And Sydney is like, well, will it make it go away? Well, you should do it so we can both move on. And then Sydney walks away, and as she walks away, we see stalker Jason is watching, you know, I guess her and her mother, and then her. And then we see director Diamond talking to the band, and he's like, you know, we are the mighty mountain cats, and we will be victorious, and we are a family, and we had this problem, but we gonna bring it, and we don't care, and we whoop, 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 and we can't have disloyal, lying, conniving rats in our mix. So you, and he grabs Noni, you must go. Get up, get out, and take this horn with you. And he's like gathering her horn and kicking it across the room. And she, you know, gets it and runs out. And then Director Diamond is like, all right, family, let's take it from the top. He ruthless. And then we see Sydney and fighting, practicing, or we see who we assume is fighting, Sydney fighting, practicing, or whatever. Then we see President Eva. She's recording like a suicide prevention message. I guess that's supposed to be the apology/apology. And then we see fight practice, and then the person is like, get up, get up. And then the person, you know, finally gets up, and they're like, you all right? And then the person takes off their mask. It's Mama Eva. And she's like, yes. So that was that. Did you see last night's episode? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So that's what I got. That was The Quad, Season 1, Episode 2. I really am enjoying this show. Thank you so much for tuning in, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. The content is absolutely free for you, but I definitely accept payment, love payment, appreciate payment in the form of likes, comments, subscriptions, shares. All of those things help the channel to grow. The channel helping to grow helps my my account when it gets remonetized, because I imagine I might be demonetized by the 14th if I don't, I mean by the 20th, if I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be demonetized. But right now we got $2.20 in the bank. But we'll lose that, except excellent recap as usual. Thank you. I appreciate it. But like, comment, share, subscribe. All of that stuff helps. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good class. You got classes today, Miss Rowdy Chica. Is it Rowdy Chica 59? That's all I got. Today is the best day ever. You are the greatest. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Just finished classes. Yay. Keep up the great work. I know it's good work. I don't even know you. Keep up the great work. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.